Are you planning to go to Florence, Italy, but you don't know how to get there? Well, stay tuned because today we're going to tell you the best way that you can get to Florence.
Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, I'm Rick.
And I'm Andrea. And today we'll tell you the best way to get to Florence. But first, if you like travel-related videos like this one, now is a great time to the subscribe button down below, so you'll never miss any future videos.
And we will thank you very kindly.
Exactly. Florence is one of the most beautiful cities in Italy, and it has an incredible rich history, art and cuisine. It was the birthplace of some of the most famous Italian Renaissance artists, like Leonardo or Michelangelo. In Florence, you can admire some of the amazing monuments, like the Duomo and the Ponte Vecchio. Also, Florence is an incredible walkable city. In fact, all the landmarks are a few steps away from each other. So it's very easy to walk around. For this reason, millions of tourists go to Florence every year. But how to get there? You have several options to get to Florence, and depending on where you are and where you want to go. So, let's begin.
Okay, so let's begin by taking a flight, so flying to Florence. So, if you want to go to Florence from abroad, the best way to get there is by flying. And there's 3 main airports near Florence that you can fly into. The closest airport to Florence, of course, is the Firenze Amerigo Vespucci Airport, and this is located just 5 kilometers or 3 miles from downtown Florence. The airport is very well connected from pretty much every major European city. In fact, there's daily flights from Amsterdam, Brussels, London, Paris, Frankfurt, Madrid, and so many more. Now look, if you're coming from North America, you just have to connect in one of the major European hubs to get to Florence fast and easy. Now, assuming you go to the Amerigo Vespucci Airport, to get downtown, you have a few options. The easiest and cheapest way to get to downtown Florence is the shuttle tram that goes from the airport to the Santa Maria Novella train station in about 20 minutes and costs just €1.50 each way. The shuttle tram runs often from 5 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. The second option is by taxi. Taxis have a flat rate from the airport of €22 during the day, or €24 on Saturdays and Sundays, and $25.30 at night, plus €1 per bag. Now, the main advantage of taking a taxi is that it'll drop you off right in front of the hotel. Lastly, if you're planning on taking a road trip, let's say through Tuscany, maybe you're doing a wine tour, you can rent a car at the airport. At the Vespucci Airport, you can find most of the major car rental companies, but you need to make a reservation in advance.
Now let's talk about the Pisa Galileo Galilei Airport. Pisa Airport is located about 80 kilometers or 50 miles west of Florence in the city of Pisa, famous for the Leaning Tower. This is the biggest airport in Tuscany and is also very well connected with major European cities. Also, many low-cost airlines arrive at Pisa Airport. From Pisa, you have a few options to get to Florence. Option number 1 is to take the People Mover just outside the airport that takes you to Pisa Centrale train station in a few minutes. From there, you can take the train to Firenze Santa Maria Novella train station, and it takes approximately an hour. Option number 2 is to take a bus. Several daily buses connect the Pisa airport to Firenze Santa Maria Novella train station. The bus ride takes about an hour and it costs around $14.99.
$14.99?
$14.99.
Wow.
Euro, of course.
Of course.
The third option is from Pisa airport to Florence, they take a taxi. This is the most expensive way, and in fact it costs around €170 or more, but it's probably the most convenient. Lastly, again, if you're planning to take a road trip, you can rent a car in Pisa and then drive to Florence yourself.
Now, next we also have the Bologna-Marconi Airport. This is very close to where we live.
Yes.
Now, Bologna is about 140 kilometers or 87 miles north of Florence. Marconi Airport is also very well connected with most European cities. Also, Bologna is also very well connected with Istanbul, Dubai, and Egypt. Now, to reach Florence from Bologna, you also have a few options. Option number one is by bus, and there's several buses a day that leave from Bologna Airport and take you to downtown Florence, and the price is €20 if you book the ticket in advance, or €25 if you buy the ticket on board. The ride takes about 1 hour and 15 minutes if there's no traffic. Option number two is the train. At the airport, there's a shuttle train, the Marconi Express, that connects to Bologna Centrale train station in about 7 minutes. It runs from 5:40 a.m. to midnight, and the price is €9.20. From Bologna Centrale, there's several trains a day that take you to Firenze Santa Maria Novella in about an hour. Now, lastly, there's also several car rental companies in Bologna Airport if you decide to do a road trip. Now, what if you're already in Italy and you want to get to Florence? Maybe you're visiting Rome or another city.
If you are already in Italy, Rome or Milan or Venice or Naples, the best way to get to Florence is by train. In fact, from Rome to Florence by high-speed train, it takes a little over an hour, while from Venice to Florence by high-speed trains takes about 2 hours, and from Milan to Florence by train takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes. Florence Santa Maria Novella train station is located right downtown, only 5 minutes away walking from the Duomo. There are several trains a day from Milan to Florence, from Rome to Florence, or from Florence to Venice, with Frecciarossa or with the other company that's the Italo Treno.
So in other words, no matter where you are in Italy, any major city, you can get to Florence.
Pretty much. You can also reach Florence by train from smaller cities. In this case, you have to use the regular trains, not the high speed. For example, if you're in La Spezia visiting the Cinque Terre, you can travel to Florence by train in about 2.5 hours. Traveling by train in Italy is easy, convenient, and very safe. Also, it provides a great way to go from a city to another without having to worry about traffic, routes, parking, etc. Also, all the major train stations in Italy are conveniently located in the city center. By the way, if you want to know more about Italian trains, check this video up here.
Definitely. I think it was a good video, actually.
I think so too. What if you're taking a road trip in Italy and you want to know how to get to Florence by car?
Yeah, so reaching Florence by car is not difficult. Actually, the difficult thing that anybody will say is driving itself. But let's talk about the roads. So Florence is located on the A1. That's the major highway that connects Milan to Reggio Calabria, right at the tip of the boot. So if you're in Milan, you'll have to drive south towards Rome to get to Florence, and the trip will take you about 3.5 hours, also depending on traffic. Now, if you're driving from Rome, you're going to have to drive north towards Milan, and the ride from Rome will also take you about 3 hours and 25 minutes, again, depending on traffic. Now, last, if you're going to be coming from Venice, this is a little bit different. You're going to have to take the A13 highway and change in Bologna to the A1 south to Florence. In this case, the trip will take you about 3 hours. Now, if you decide to drive, there's a few things that I want you to keep in mind. First, the highways have tolls. Also, on the highway, the speed limit is 130 kilometers an hour unless you see a sign that says something different.
Second, once you're in downtown Florence, you'll be very careful about the Zona Traffico Limitato, or ZTL. This area are limited traffic reserved for resident or business in the area. In case your hotel is inside of the ZTL, make sure that your hotel register your driver your license plate at the police station, otherwise you'll receive a pretty high fine.
And I might even say ask for a receipt showing that it's registered.
Lastly, parking in Florence is not easy. It is better to leave the car at the parking just outside the downtown and walk.
Yeah.
In fact, the center of Florence is very small and very easy to walk. On top of the most landmarks in the city center are located on the pedestrian city and street only, so you have to walk there no matter what.
Yeah.
Bottom line, we do not recommend you drive to Florence unless you are planning to take a road trip to Tuscany. Lastly, you can reach Florence by bus.
Right, so there's several bus routes that connect Florence with major Italian and European cities. The most popular bus company around here is called Flixbus, and a trip, for example, from Berlin to Florence on the bus, well, it'll take about 23 hours, and it costs about €209 one way. For this reason, I don't think it's worth it. It'd be much, much cheaper for you to fly to Florence on one of the low-cost airlines. However, the bus could be a good option if you decide to take a bus tour of Italy, and in this case, the tour company will take care of everything for you, including accommodations and meals and so on. The downside of this option is that with the tour, it's probably not going to be very customizable, so you're probably going to have to follow the tour's itinerary.
Well, folks, we hope that you like this video and inspire you to visit this beautiful city of Florence. As usual, if you have any question, please leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, we hope to see you on the next video.
Ciao!
Ciao!